talking Shoreline Mafia, Mafia Bidness. Um, yeah, Shoreline, not a group that I feel like I've been paying much attention to. Is this a group you've been really tuned into?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah,
Tell me why.
I'm a huge fan of Shoreline Mafia. They blew up in end of 2017 into 2018, dropping that debut mixtape Shoreline Do That Shit, which they then re-released in the spring of 2018 when they signed to Atlantic Records. And the lead up to that mixtape, they saw a number of really big songs: Musty, None Major. This is a four-piece outfit from LA, diverse group of guys: OGZ, Phoenix Flexin, Rob Vicious, and Master Kato. And they just kind of started taking over LA, just selling out fucking shows constantly, and just kind of quickly developed a rabid and diverse fan base. And that's an interesting thing to note, is that in a melting pot city like LA, having a diverse group of Jeezy is Mexican, Phoenix is light skin, the other guys are black, and seeing kind of that range of fans coming together around their music, and those LA fans seeing the LA nature in their music, and it all coming across quite genuinely, is cool to see. And you can read there's a nice story from 2018 in Fader by Paul Thompson that kind of goes into that. And I think what stood out to me first about Shoreline Mafia, you hear these songs, and some of them, I think the case with this new album, Mafia Bidness, was also the case on their mixtape, some of their EPs, where not every song is all for the guys. They kind of take their turn. Sometimes it's a solo song or just one of them with a feature that's not from the group, right? And they've reiterated this in interviews that they're really confident in their own individual identities, but still very much dedicated to this group, to this foursome. And I think that's really cool to see, because I think a lot of times when we hear groups and someone stands out more than the other ones, in this case, it would definitely be OGZ and Phoenix, who just rap more than the other two. What we did with Sway Lee, what we did Quavo, it's like, oh, you should go solo, you should leave these guys behind. And it's cool to see that they are really like self-aware about that kind of stuff and not really interested in that. Also, on that mixtape, Shoreline Do That Shit, on songs like None Major and What's the Deal, and I think Musty too, they intersplice this audio from a local Fox 11 news report, in which that Fox station showed Shoreline Mafia music videos and them like pouring like codeine into their drinks and sipping lean. And like you hear these real quotes, and like when I heard them, I'm like, oh, that must be fake, but it was actually real. And like it was kind of like viral marketing that this Fox news station did for this group. And like the best part is you have this quote from this anchor, and she's like, when asked for comment, Shoreline responded, "Expletive Fox, we sip juice for life." And I'm like, that had to be fake, but it was literally on TV. It was not fake.
What a line.
And it's like, obviously I don't support like abusing lean, like RIP ASAP Yams. And like, I hope these guys take care of themselves. OGZ has put on some weight since he blew up, so like, please take care. But this shit's hilarious, right? And it's kind of just been a slow burn leading up to this album, their first big release on Atlantic Records. And while I don't think this is nearly as strong as that early stuff, this is definitely a bloated album. It does have a lot of the qualities I still like from the group. So I think they're interesting to me because it didn't seem like they've had a big pop in the East Coast, but they are rock stars already on the West Coast.
Yeah, I think you kind of summed up my thoughts really well. Going back and listening to some of the hits off, like you mentioned, None or Musty, I found myself listening to this album, and it was almost kind of like, oh, this song bops, and the next one I'm like, okay, just not much. And then maybe a track or two later, like, oh, here we go, like, and it would pop back up, and it felt like it was like pockets of really great songs, and then some songs that just fell totally flat for me. And I felt like when I was probably most engaged was when the music was a bit more bouncy, like a little bit more upbeat. I think when they tried to go a little bit more melodic or a little bit more downbeat, I found myself tuning out a bit.
Yeah, I totally agree. You think of a song like Change Your Life, where that's just OGZ and Phoenix, and that's them, You know, it's them talking about like, because like I mean, their music is pretty simple. Like lyrics wise, it's all about having sex and
Right.
getting fucked up. Basically, it's pretty straightforward stuff, but
Party
it's
music.
great party music. And Change Your Life is interesting because it's still about having sex, but it's how like they're like really good dudes still, and they'll treat you right if you're having sex with them. And it's like the different side of that same coin, but because it's more stripped down and almost R&B indebted, you're like, do I want this from these guys? Me, not really.
Right.
Um, and I think, you know, it's interesting. You look at this and you're like, oh, there's a Future feature. That screams Atlantic Records made this. But you also have a Wiz feature, which is kind of weird that
Yeah.
these guys would make a song with Wiz. But that song does kind of stand out to me because it's, you know, they're interpolating Montel Jordan. This is how we do it. You know, it's like, all right, that's pretty sweet. And, you know, on Run It Back, the first real song, O'Jeezy's doing a Juvenile's Back That Ass Up flow to start the song.
Right.
And it's like, I mean, yeah, I'm fucking here for that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think this overall, it's tough. And, you know, tacked on at the end, you got Bands, which already came out almost 2 years ago, their biggest song. But we still have some other moments too. Like I thought Gangsters and Sippa's a lead single. That's probably my favorite beat of the year because of that beat flip about 30
Right.
seconds in where those horns come in. I think that shit absolutely rules. And then Fuck It Up with Mike Sherm. We talked about Mike Sherm briefly because he was featured on that Pilo album last year. He just fucking spazzes on that song. And honestly, I think he really steals it from Phoenix. But yeah, I mean, if you're a Shoreline fan, there are things to like here. But overall, this was a little too dense for me, which I'm not concerned. But yeah, it's a little bloated.
Yeah, it kind of just screams like first major label album where they just want to get like everything out. And I think the more that they're testing stuff and seeing what hits, they're probably going to refine a little bit more, take some more calculated chances. Whereas here it's just like, let's just get all of our ideas out and see what kind of hits. And also, I mean, especially in the age of streaming, having more songs for people to go through is never necessarily a bad thing. So, I think it's a decent first drop, and we've already added a couple of songs from the albums we've been talking about to our Nowstalgia Best of 2020 playlist. So search for that on Spotify and give it a follow.